Hey friends, it's your fourth favorite host of It's Just a Show here, Chris, coming in to say that our regularly scheduled episode of Gunslinger has been a bit delayed because I have a wrist RSI, which has made it very painful for me to edit. And so that's going to take a little while I let myself recover. In the meantime, though, as a little treat, I will present to you an episode that was 8 years in the making, as we are proud and excited to present to you the entirety of Radar Men from the Moon, all of our plot summaries, as well as a few of the relevant segments from the episodes that we did on it. So enjoy that. You'll notice that we're going to be jumping backwards and forwards in time, and you're going to hear some of Adam and Beth speaking about it because some of those episodes were from quite a while ago. So that is exciting. And yeah, obviously the last segment is just from the previous episode that you probably heard a few weeks ago. But, you know, there's something about the beauty of the entire package I hope you could enjoy. Gunslinger will be coming soon. It was a fun episode. I'm looking forward to letting you all hear it. And I'm looking forward to feeling a little less pain as I make this for you. Go on. Me from the past. Start talking. This time we watch Season 1, Episode 2, The Robot versus the Aztec Mummy.
But first, a short Commando Cody, Chapter 1, Moon Rocket. I mean, sure, it's technically Radar Men from the Moon, Chapter 1, Moon Rocket, but just go with it, okay? All right. Earth is under attack, possibly from ray guns. So, a scientist dons a rocket-powered flying suit with a big goofy helmet and surveys his surroundings from air. This is Commando Cody. While in flight, Cody spots two no-goodniks with a ray gun. There's a brief shootout between high-flying Commando Cody and the no-goodniks, but they escape. Back in their cavernous lair, the no-goodniks report their failure to an evil moon man who bears a certain resemblance to the comic strip character, the Phantom. You remember the Phantom, don't you, listener? You know, Slam Evil the Phantom. You know, Phantom 2040 Phantom. Anywho, Commando Cody and his pals take a ride in a real rocket to the moon. They land in a rural area of the moon that looks suspiciously like Bronson Canyon. Commando Cody leaves his friends on the ship and makes his way to a moon city that looks like a miniature recreation of Greece or a sparsely decorated set, depending on whether or not Cody is in the shot. There, a moon man tells Cody the moon is plotting an invasion of Earth. The Moon Lord sicks his guards on Commando Cody and fires a ray gun at him. Stay alive, whatever may occur, Cody. We will find you in Radar Men from the Moon, Episode 2, Molten Terror.
So, early on in the episode, as they're going in to watch the very first part of the Radar Men from the Moon series, Tom is confused as Joel tries to explain that this is a serial. And Tom says,
why would someone go and see part of a movie?
Indeed.
And I've been thinking about that. In fact, in many ways, that's the only thing I remember from this episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that great robot.
There is a great robot. There are a few other things. But that question about why would anyone want to watch a part of a movie, like, making me think about serials and, like, why were they so popular? And also, are they worth watching today?
Well, based on every serial I've seen, now admittedly 50% of that has come from this show.
Yes.
I'm inclined to say no, but The Phantom Creeps, the season 2 serial with Bela Lugosi, has a great robot.
It has a great robot. Yeah, absolutely. It's got a real face on that robot.
Yeah, and that incredible robot that has a kind of demonic golem-like head, that is worth the price of admission alone. Like, waiting 67 minutes for 30 seconds of robot footage as you do with the movie today, awful. But going to see a movie that's already existing, getting pre-movie entertainment, and that pre-movie entertainment has such a robot and Bela Lugosi, well, that's just good watching.
So I guess that's part of it, is that nobody was going necessarily just to see an episode of The Phantom Creeps or of Radar Men from the Moon,
Mm-hmm.
they were going to see the movie that came after it, and then there'd be this fun entertainment beforehand that, maybe they would get excited about. That might make people want to see the next installment and find out what happens, or talk about some of the crazy stuff that happens and what they just saw, and talk to their friends about the wild robot or whatever. But like on its own, oh boy. So I tried looking around to see if anybody was recommending this sort of thing. I searched the Googles, I did a few other things, and it seemed like basically there were 2 serials that people seemed to think were pretty good.
One, of course, being the murder trial of Adnan Syed.
What? Is
serial.
that serial? So that was about right. I never listened to that because I'm not a trend chaser.
You love true crime. That's one thing I know about Chris. He loves true crime.
Exactly.
Now, you may say that serial is a waste of time, and indeed, especially season 2 is. But season 1 of Serial has something I think you'd really appreciate, Chris.
A robot?
Yeah, I was going to say a robot shows up at the end. That's where I was going with that.
Well,
just one of my classic fibs.
Yes. The problem is that I've been studying your methods for several years now. So I was looking around at what serials people recommended, and basically there were 2. One of them was Flash Gordon.
Okay, is it Flash Gordon? Or I was about to say, is it Flash Gordon versus the Crab People? But then I remembered there is no such thing. The actor's name is Buster Crab.
The actor's name is Buster Crab, yes.
Which sounds really filthy.
Yes, I hardly know her crabs. Yes, it's real gross. So I decided to just sit down and watch a few episodes of the 1930s Flash Gordon serial.
Oh, how is it?
Well, it's better than this.
Uh-huh.
There's some really good visual stuff I think you'd enjoy.
Okay.
There's some really good, like, lizards as monsters or other monstery things show up, and they're pretty well done. It's pretty well directed. They have a bit of a budget, I guess, and yet the entire serial is, as far as I can tell, something happens. Oh no. We must do something about it. Oh, we're being thwarted. Oh no. Like, it's this arbitrary children's story logic where, like, I need to get through that door. But now there's a dinosaur, and the dinosaur has me in its mouth. But thankfully, my friend has a ray gun and shoots the dinosaur. Oh, that's good. Now we're being thrown down a pit. Oh, but the pit is being stopped. Oh, it turns out there's a secret door here. Oh, we have to go down this hallway. Oh, now there's shark people. It's like, what is any of this? This is just plot without meaning. Like, none of this is, like, about the characters. None of this has any real stakes except bare survival. And even that, like, I don't really care if Flash Gordon survives or not. He's just blonde. He just looks okay with a shirt off. Like, that's all this movie is offering for me. Why? Can it just have anything mean something for a second?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the trouble with watching Flash Gordon movie serials, or indeed consuming any Flash Gordon media, is that how can it hope to compare with the cinematic experience of Brian Blessed and Timothy Dalton and Max von Sydow in the same movie?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've only seen that in passing on TV when other people have watched it.
Oh, it's a delight.
I'm sure it is.
It's a very fun movie. Now, it also has a problem, and it is this. While Flash Gordon is a delight, it's no Flesh Gordon.
Okay, come on.
Have you never seen Flesh Gordon?
No, I've never seen Flesh Gordon.
Okay, so there was basically in the 1970s, somebody had the bright idea. It's like, hey, what about Flash Gordon? But, the porn parody.
Uh-huh.
But it's the 70s. So people take porn as if it's an emerging cinematic genre and worthy.
Yeah, that was the time when porn was potentially going to become that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was going to become a lot of things. Anyway, Flesh Gordon, it has like beautiful stop motion and really fun sets and miniatures and actors who are just having the time of their lives. Some of whom happen to be, sucking. And it's great, and it has the immortal line delivered with dead seriousness by the film's villain. I am Wang from the planet Porno. So it kind of rules. It's kind of a great movie.
A few thoughts.
Yeah.
First off, was Flesh Hard-On taken?
I think Flesh Hard-On must have been taken. That must have been one of Ron Jeremy's many pseudonyms.
Secondly, I see on the Wikipedia page that playing the uncredited voice of the great god Porno is one Craig T. Nelson.
Yes, that's true. Coach himself.
What?
His TV's coach is part of Flesh Gordon. But it was the 70s, baby. It was a different time.
Uh-huh. Okay. Rewinding. You know, part of the problem with watching the Flash Gordon serial and just the randomness, it reminded me a lot of when, as an adult, I watched the Transformers 80s cartoon series again, which I had loved as a kid, and which was completely incoherent to watch as an adult.
Well, that's just it. Like, the fascinating thing, and this is admittedly a tangent, but the fascinating thing about the Transformers show, I only saw the tail end of its existence. I think this is after the movie came out. I'm not sure. But the final 2 seasons, the show is set in the future and everybody's in space.
Yeah.
And that's the only Transformers I knew. The one with the superior theme song. It's not like Transformers more than meets the eye. It's the one where they're chanting. It's so good. And I thought, oh, that was a really good show. I found a tape of it, of me just taping Saturday morning cartoons because I happened to be away, playing, sports or going on a picnic or something. And I watched Transformers, and it was like the whole thing was in another language. Like, I could not figure out what the hell was going on.
Yes. I kind of feel like Flash Gordon's sort of the same way, where it's just stuff is happening. It's kind of exciting. Some of it looks really good, but like trying to piece it together, oh my God, I couldn't do that at all. The other serial that people recommended, and perhaps even more than Flash Gordon, but a very different kind of serial, is
Count Chocula. I'm sorry, I had to.
Is a 1916 French silent serial called Judex or something like that. It's silent, so who knows? But it is about a guy named Judex, which is Latin for judge, the judge, who's a pulp hero, like the Shadow, and he's going and fighting crimes. And he's trying to avenge his family's ruination. I don't know. But it's by this director, Louis Feuillade, who put out a few of these serials. Fantomas and Les Vampires, the vampires, are the other 2 big ones.
Right.
And people seem to really like those. If, you want to watch something that's maybe not... Well, actually, I have no idea. I didn't get a chance to watch these yet. So maybe it is just as... it's pulpy. Maybe it's just as wild as... Flash, I have to be careful now. Flash Gordon. But, it's silent, so it's going to be a little different, of course.
Yeah.
I assume you haven't seen any of those.
No. I, movie serials, it's kind of a weird format, because like 10 minutes, because they were usually 1-reelers.
Or 2-reelers. They're actually often 2-reelers. The first episode would be a 3-reeler.
Yeah. And it's like it just doesn't feel like enough. It just doesn't feel like enough for there to suddenly be a big problem, and then like a reel later, there's another big problem. They often feel like very, I don't know, very, very jumpy and a little too fast paced, honestly. So I don't. I have never gotten into them.
They're about the length of like Steven Universe or Adventure Time or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those are animated so they can go faster in a sense. But, there's no reason why you can't have something compelling and whole feeling in that amount of time. You just have to really be aiming for it. I don't know. I guess also part of the problem is that they're not intended to be binged, right? Like, I sat down and watched 3 episodes of Flash Gordon in a row. That's not how you're supposed to watch that.
Yeah. The car always blows up, but then you see the next episode and they clearly got out of the car before it blew up.
Exactly.
My God.
On the Megaphonic Slack channel, which members get to hang out in, devoted listener and friend of the network, Sean, from over in the Fiasco Family Movie Night podcast, was the person who basically stood up for serials, saying most serials, especially in the 10 to 15 chapter talkie format, have a lot of running back and forth, random fights, clamoring over possession of a MacGuffin business, especially in the middle chapters. It can feel a lot like killing time. I don't know if it's an intentional effect, but it leaves them able to be easily edited down to movies for re-release. But some manage to keep the middle bits fun with outlandish details or even meaningful plot. But the general tendency is to get tedious for a while. But, Sean really recommends Judex and the Phantom Creeps as well.
Yeah, the Phantom Creeps, I did really find entertaining. It's got all the right elements. And Judex certainly sounds more compelling than Flash Gordon does to me.
Yeah, I'm super curious about it. I will check it out at some point.
Now, we've discussed serials, but what are your favorite surreals? I'm a big fan of the movie Hausu.
I was going to say, as I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate Kiriko a little bit more, but I'm still a Dali fan at heart. This time we watched Season 1, Episode 3, The Mad Monster.
But first, a short, Radar Men from the Moon, Chapter 2, Molten Terror. Commando Cody is in a big fight with some guys, but he fights his way free and escapes. Once outside, he uses a jetpack to fly back to his ship, and he reports to his crew about Reddick, the evil ruler of the moon, and his plan to invade the Earth. They must thwart this plan because these guys have super powerful weapons. Hey, why not steal one of these and use it against the baddies? Commando Cody decides they should steal a ray gun, but it's so heavy, it'll take 2 guys to carry it. So Cody takes a friend along. They use nitrous oxide, no joke, in the ventilation system to put everyone in the bad guy compound to sleep so Commando Cody can steal the ray gun. It doesn't quite work because some bad guys have access to oxygen. Anyway, they have a fight, Commando Cody wins, and he takes the gun. He has to carry it, though, and the bad guys send a tank out after him. Commando Cody and his friend take refuge in a cave, but the tank turns its heat ray on the cave entrance, melting the rocks into a lava flow heading right for Commando Cody. How will he escape? Could this be the end?
Would you believe this short takes place on the moon?
If you hadn't told me it was the moon, I would not have known.
Did the title not give you a hint that it was Radar Men from the moon?
Again, all of those things helped to just clue me in that it was the moon, but otherwise, it just looked like a castle in a desertish place.
Yeah, I mean, they really threw us for a loop by not shooting in Bronson Canyon, but in some other canyons just outside of LA.
I mean, come on. There is one canyon that is recognizable as the moon, people.
I think it's interesting because, of course, the Radar Men from the Moon comes from 1952, at which point, while we had seen the moon, since we had seen it since prehistoric times hanging up there in the sky, we had not been to the moon. And we didn't necessarily know what it would look like, especially if we're imagining a sort of science fictional place where there are people living on there and having home bases and cruel plans to destroy the world with powerful weapons and whatever that would require.
Well, I mean, if you don't live on the Earth, aren't you jealous? Come on, this is the best place. It's real sweet. It's got nice water. There's super good food. If you don't live here, of course you're jealous and you want to destroy it.
Well, there's that, but I guess I'm more thinking about what the landscape of the moon is going to be like.
Oh, yes, of course.
Because this isn't the only film to take place on the moon from the 50s that just makes it look like part of California.
Well, the whole world tends to look like California if you believe the movies.
And I'm not saying it needs to be perfect to be effective. I'm not saying this is effective, but I'm not saying that's a requirement for a movie set on the moon that has to look like the moon. But it is interesting how the moon may or may not look like the moon, right? So I recently had a chance to rewatch a very nice color print, or the original color print, of the very early film Le Voyage dans la Lune, A Trip to the Moon by Georges Méliès.
The one that has the rocket go in the eyeball?
The famous Rocket in the Eyeball short. And if you've never seen the original color edition, the hand-colored edition, it's obviously not filmed in color, but they would frame by frame paint in the colors.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a stunning effect. I mean, most old films that I've seen that do that sort of wash the entire scene in a particular color because that's faster and easier and perhaps more reliable. But
Sure.
sometimes you get to see very nice editions where it's all sort of hand-colored in. And it can be very lovely. And it made the film so much easier to read and parse and figure out what's going on.
Oh. I don't think I've ever seen it colorized. Like, what kinds of things were, like, brought out by that color?
It makes it a lot easier to tell things that are in the foreground from the background.
Oh, that is helpful, yeah.
And so you get a better sense of composition. Let's put it that way.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'll send you a still shot of the famous moment.
Oh, yeah. Dude. The rocket being red going into kind of a orangey yellow moon with the unhappy lips and the green clouds around it. Like it's really stunning.
Yeah.
Oh, and it looks like the moon is kind of bleeding a little bit.
Yes, I think it does splurt out a little bit in that shot. I mean, I know it definitely is in that image.
I don't think I ever would have thought of the moon as having bodily fluids, right? Like when things hit the moon in our imagination, like there's dust particles that go out, right? So if this wasn't colorized, I wouldn't have thought of it as like a bodily fluid. I would have thought of it as just like dust particles or something, you know?
Yeah, you can't really tell what it's supposed to be in the black and white version, and that makes perfect sense. And of course, it's dust because they're playing with the idea of it being the man in the moon, the face that you see in the moon. And if you hit the face, what's going to happen? But also, I think one of the interesting things is that the moon looks different. I mean, it doesn't quite necessarily look like what we now know the moon's surface to look like, but it looks more aggressively weird than California because it's being filmed on a soundstage rather than out in the real world. And so they're able to use all the crafts of the theater in order to make it look weirder. And I'll send you a few more images of that.
Ooh. Yeah, you do get some really interesting canyon effects. I'm looking at a picture of a woman who is sitting on a crescent of a moon, and there's a planet with rings around it in the background, and there's a couple of ladies holding up a star, and there's this nice canyon effect with some craters inside of it, which is really interesting. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's lovely. And look, there's water on the moon. They had water on the moon in this movie?
I believe so. It's been a few months since I rewatched it, and I was just more drinking in the spectacle of how beautiful this film was rather than trying to remember all these kinds of particular details. But yeah, I think there's a bit of a water in it, or that might be back on Earth. I can't remember because they do land back on Earth at the end of it.
Oh, it does look like there's a moon in the sky reflecting on the water, so maybe it is back on Earth.
And I just sent you a black and white version of that same shot with the women just to see how harder it is to read what's going on in the black and white version.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's the version I'd always seen. It's so much better if you watch it in color.
It seems like it's so much fun when it's in color. I mean, not that it isn't fun when it's black and white, right? There's a reason why people have continued to watch this short, just seeing that imaginary trip to the moon before we were ever able to really make it happen.
Absolutely. Are there any depictions of the moon that you are particularly fond of, especially ones from before we'd been there?
I was reading some articles from like NASA and some science magazines when they were thinking about what to expect when they actually landed on the moon, trying to think about like, how did we conceive of the moon before we physically felt it as a culture, right? And one of the things that was super fascinating to me, because it just never occurred to me, right? Like, I was born after we landed on the moon.
Right.
So this idea of what the moon is had already been solidified before I was born. And apparently they did not know how fluffy the surface of the moon was going to be. They weren't sure whether it was going to be just like dust on a countertop, like just a very small layer that as soon as you land, you're kind of on a solid footing, or whether it was going to be like several feet thick and astronauts would step out of their module and just sink like quicksand into the dust particles of the moon. Like, they didn't know, because how could they know? They'd never physically been there. And so they designed the feet of the lunar landing module to have like a very large kind of snowshoe foot so that it could sit on top of everything. And that was just fascinating to me because it's just like, it never occurred to me that we didn't know what the moon felt like.
This time we watch Season 1, Episode 5, The Corpse Vanishes.
But first, a short, Radar Men from the Moon, Chapter 3, Bridge of Death. Last time on Radar Men from the Moon, we left Commando Cody and his friend trapped in a cave while the evil moon folks melted the rocks around them. As a wave of molten rock washed towards the two, we wondered, how will Commando Cody escape? Well, it turns out there was like a side door or something, and they basically just walked out. So that tension, completely unnecessary. Now, Cody and friend return to their rocket to discuss options with the crew. They lost the ray gun they tried to steal, so best option left is to return to Earth and let everyone know of the Radar Men's nefarious scheme to invade the Earth. The Radar Men try to stop them from leaving the moon, but fail. They recruit nasty Earthlings to help stop the rocket from landing on Earth, but they fail too. The evil Earthlings try to escape in a car from the rocket landing site, but Cody, at least I think it's Cody, it's hard to tell, Cody rushes into a car and chases after them. Ooh, car chase scene. Eventually, the evil men leave their bomb on the bridge in front of Cody, and just as he starts to cross the bridge, boom! The bridge is destroyed. Cody's car drives off the edge. How will Cody escape certain death this time? Tune in next time, but until then, this is the end.
This time we watch Season 1, Episode 7, Robot Monster.
Oh, wait. First we have to talk about some shorts. Episode 4 and 5 from the serial Radar Men from the Moon. All right, it's Episode 4, Flight to Destruction. So basically, there's a bad guy in a skull cap and eyeliner who claims to be from the moon and who hires a bunch of Dick Tracy extras to get some money to buy a new truck for his new super ray gun. They burst into Cody Laboratories and kidnap a lady scientist named Joan to hold for ransom. And they take her away on a biplane, and oh no, the plane! It's crashing! What will happen? We find out in the next episode. Joan's fine, she had a parachute. Anyway, in the second short, Murder Car, the baddies plot an elaborate rescue of one of their henches, who was arrested after attempting to rob a bank. It involves stealing a giant ambulance cum ice cream truck, switching cars, and the most deadly game of chicken ever put to film. Will Commando Cody survive a head-on collision? Tune in next time, or don't, to Radar Men from the Moon! Well, Adam, we just kind of got launched in medias res of a series called Radar Men from the Moon. Were you able to make any sense of it?
Well, I mean, it's not that complicated. So there's these moon men, and they're up to no good, and they've employed a local ne'er-do-well to help them with like bank heists and things. It's got something to do with the moon. And anyway, there's this all-American, possibly a GI, I forget, who flies around wearing his stupid Rocketeer mask and, thwarting ne'er-do-wells.
Did you like it?
Did I like Commando Cody? No. Of course not. It was terrible, but I mean, I could make sense of it, yes.
I wouldn't say it was good, but I really enjoyed watching it just because it's so foundational in a lot of ways. Like,
wait, for the listeners at home, we have to establish that Beth has seen only one other movie, and that's The Rocketeer.
Actually, I've never seen The Rocketeer. It's still on my list.
God damn it! You had one job.
But that might be what's influencing this, because I do remember the previews from when I was a young kid, and they just made it look so amazing, a movie. Apparently it wasn't very good, but that aesthetic that the Rocketeer borrowed heavily from is in this series, you know, like the kind of Art Deco machines and the weird combo of guys in zoot suits with like a moon man. Like, it's just a combo that just seems so strange to me, but also really fascinating. The fact that it's also geared towards boys from like 9 to 14, so there's just a bunch of car crashes and guns.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Plus, a flying guy who, with his mask, I think Tom Servo has a great line where he refers to Commando Cody as Jack-O-Lantern Private Eye. It's a great visual.
Yeah, the visuals are amazing. Obviously, highly influential. It influenced two other, you know, plots we're more familiar with, which is Sky Captain, The World of Tomorrow.
Are people familiar with that? That movie tanked hard.
So did Rocket.
It's also terrible.
Apparently, and I haven't seen it yet to verify. Rocket.
What?
No, not Sky Captain, but The Rocketeer is apparently quite good. Its big flaw was it came out at a bad time when like a whole bunch of really great movies were coming out.
I'm willing to see The Rocketeer. I also missed it, but it was a recent video by Red Letter Media where they did an overview of The Rocketeer, and Mike Stacklasa more or less describes it as a perfect movie. That got me interested. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's enough to make me think, okay, I'll give it a watch. I have listened to the James Horner score. It's pretty good. And I do love any movie where Timothy Dalton is the bad guy.
Yeah. No, there's a lot going for it. It makes me want to see Rocketeer, so maybe that's what we can get out of these serials.
If nothing else, it makes the movies they influence seem all the more appealing. Yeah, well, I will say, watching it, I was reminded, like, one of the big differences in watching a film serial versus watching a film proper, especially in the context of this show, is that so often you get a movie that is hypnotically boring where nothing happens and it's fascinating. Like that, to me, thinking about Chad's letter earlier, was one of the biggest things I got from Mystery Science Theater 3000, is that some people, whether it is in the storyboarding and filming stages or in the script stage, just simply forget to have things happen so there's not a sequence of events.
Yes, the legendary padding through walking.
Yes.
And you gotta say, for these series, they move fast.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, this is far pacier than most of the films that we watch for this show. So there's something kind of like brisk and exciting. I can see why film serials would have been an easy sell for like early TV syndication.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would have been so exciting. Like, this thing would have moved faster than like any half-hour or hour-long shows that would have been on at the time.
Yeah, so I would say if you have a historical bent, these might be worth checking out. They're only like 10 minutes each, just to get a feel for that strange pace they have. Because, yeah, if you're used to movies from the 40s and 50s being a bit plodding, this is a very different feel for that look.
Which is interesting because they're only on episodes 4 and 5, the fifth of which is titled Murder Car, which might be the best. I was really hoping that they were going to introduce a character with that name, but to no avail.
I think I know what my Halloween costume is going to be.
Murder Car. But Joel and the Bots are not pleased with having to watch these installments, and I found that to be kind of interesting. I'm curious if that's something they would have done in later years of the show, because I mean, we're only on episodes 4 and 5. They had done, I think, just one with previous episodes, and instead of a double bill, but they're already sick of these, and they really play up how they don't want to watch them.
Yes, I think that's partly because they haven't established that they're not supposed to be worn down by these movies yet, except in exceptional circumstances.
I'm curious as to how they handle this in later episodes, because I think from this point on, there's at least one more double bill of Commando Cody episodes, and I'm curious as to how that plays out in the show and like their ongoing reaction. That gives something, I think, for viewers week to week tuning in, something to play off of as well. Like, I guess that's mirroring the viewer's frustration too. Perhaps they learned something from the back-to-back Gamras of KTMA, which actually got viewers to call in and leave messages saying no more turtle movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I would agree.
This time we watch Season 1, Episode 8, The Slime People.
But first, a short, Radar Men from the Moon, Chapter 6, Hills of Death. Last time on Radar Men from the Moon, Cody and a friend were racing along a mountain road trying to catch the Earthmen working for the Moonmen, but the car swerved and fell off the cliff with Cody still in it. How did he escape? Well, it turns out it was just the car that fell over the cliff and Cody had already rolled out. Whew! The Earthmen got away back to bad guy headquarters. And what's this? A call from the leader on the moon? He says, drop an atomic bomb in a dormant volcano and make it erupt, as this will cause torrential rain, massive floods, and thus disrupt the transportation system of Earth worldwide. The bad Earthmen rent a plane and drop the bomb. It works real well, but they inadvertently leave a clue behind that helps Commando Cody and his friend find them. It's a matchbook from Al's Cafe, and wouldn't you know it, they're regulars there. Commando Cody and his friend go to Al's Cafe and are surprised by these bad guys just coming in right after them. A fist fight ensues, and Cody might have won, but the bad guys pull a gun on Al. That's not fair, playing on his sense of morality. They kidnap Cody's friend and head off into the mountains. But Cody's friend has rolled out of a moving car before, and he'll do it again. Now that the good guys know what the bad guy's car looks like, the bad guys need to get a new one. So they drive to the mountaintop and wait for a car to be delivered. Cody hears where they are, puts on the rocket suit, and heads to the top of the mountain to capture them. A gunfight takes place, followed by a chase scene. Cody corners one of the bad guys near a cliff, but where's the second bad guy? Why, he's waiting in secret to throw a rock at Cody's head. He nails Cody, and Cody tumbles off the cliff. No, Cody! How will you escape certain death this time? Tune in next time to find out, but for now, that's the end.
Hey, this is the second movie or short in a row where they've dropped a bomb into like a volcano.
Isn't it weird?
It's pretty weird.
What a weird plot point.
Yeah, why would you do that?
I don't know. I mean, and to think that, well, so we have last time inside of Hour 12 to the Moon, somebody dropped a bomb into the volcano in order to heat up North America. And this time, they drop a bomb into the volcano in order to interrupt the weather systems on Earth and make it worldwide torrential downpour. And so, like, very different outcomes that they're hoping from the bomb and the volcano thing. But it seems like such a weird choice. What are they thinking? Having seen footage of like the 1980 explosion of Mount St. Helens, where it looks like half of the mountain is kind of melting away and then it explodes out in that direction with a whole bunch of hot ash. I don't want to drop a bomb in a volcano. It seems like a really bad idea.
Well, so good news. We have dropped bombs into volcanoes before.
Well, hold up. Like, both of these movies have taught me that dropping bombs in volcanoes is actually not a good thing. You're telling me it is.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just said we've done it.
But the world didn't end. We didn't get the torrential rains that the radar men from the moon think we're going to get. And it also didn't superheat North America, because I don't remember a heat wave caused by bombs in a volcano.
No, well, these weren't atomic bombs that were dropped. These were regular bombs. This was back in the 30s. And a few bombs were dropped into Mauna Loa.
Oh, on Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was spewing and it was threatening the town of Hilo. And a lot of people lived there. And so they wanted to try to protect them. And so they dropped some bombs into it to basically rechannel the lava so that it wouldn't spill out and go onto the town.
like they were trying to create new places where the lava would push through first before it went down that side of the island?
Basically, yeah, they were trying to give it easier channels that it would want to go through. Like, it's lava is a fluid, and fluid tends to want to go through the easiest way. So if you give it a path that's going to be easier, then it's more likely to do that. It is super not clear whether these bombs actually helped. The people in Hilo were fine, I guess, but it might have been that the volcano was calming down anyways and that the bombs didn't do anything. I believe it's inconclusive. I'll have a link to a National Geographic article about it. So, there's that. But maybe that got the idea of throwing bombs into volcanoes in people's minds, if that was widely known, which I don't know if it was.
Well, it's interesting to think about trying to control a volcano in a way that allows you to save a settlement near it, because that's a plot point that comes up in at least two different things that I can think of off the top of my head. One's like A Tale from Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin, and the other is an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Wait, what? What is that? I don't remember that happening in either of those.
So there's A Tale from Earthsea. There's one of the books in the series of Earthsea is The Tales from Earthsea.
It's a later book. I've only read the first one.
It's a later book. But the thing that happens inside of the story is that the older wizard can feel that there's going to be a large earthquake and there's going to be some flow of the mountain that's going to go down towards the big settlement where people live. And he remembers a spell he learned when he was a very young wizard about getting into the bones of the earth and calming it down, but needing a second wizard to keep the channel open for that flow to go around where people are living. And so they're using magic in tandem to save the people in the town from this earthquake and earth movement that's going to happen on the island where they live. So that's what I'm remembering from the Tales from Earthsea. And of course, the older wizard has to become a part of the bones of the earth, and he can't come back out again.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful story, and of course all the people of the town think that Ogyeon's the one who saved them because he's the only one they could see. And he's like, I could never have done this without my master. So I remember that part of Tales from Earthsea, right? It is trying to control the movement of the earth in order to save a settlement that lives nearby. And it happens in Avatar too, right? Like the waterbenders and airbenders, when lava flow is coming down towards a town, they use their bending skills to create a tunnel to redirect the flow of lava so it doesn't come at the people in town.
Right. Okay. Sure. Yes.
So not bombs, but it's that same sense of we need to redirect the lava so that the town settlement can remain safe and secure.
Right. But there might be other reasons why you would attempt to bomb a volcano. There was an article in Popular Science in 1944 suggesting if we bombed a volcano in Japan, maybe it would erupt. And then it would cause, bad things to happen to the Japanese, which, yikes.
As if bombs aren't bad enough by themselves?
Yeah. But nowadays, people generally seem to think that if you dropped a nuclear bomb into a volcano, it wouldn't do anything interesting.
Oh, huh.
It wouldn't cause an eruption in that same way that we seem to think in these movies or in our World War II unsolicited war advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's so interesting that the volcano has so much more energy and destructive power all on its own, that the bombs we would drop in would essentially be like a drop in a pond type of thing. It would be no big effect.
Well, and you can sort of tell this because earthquakes, like a big earthquake, is about as much energy and force as a big nuclear weapon, right?
I never thought of it that way. I mean, we've talked about it on pod before, but I lived through the 89 quake inside of the San Francisco area, and I just never thought of that as being equivalent force to a nuclear or atomic bomb. Huh.
So according to the USGS, A magnitude 9 earthquake, like the one in Japan in 2011, releases the energy of nearly a 2,000 megaton nuclear weapon. And the strongest we've ever set off is a 50 megaton weapon.
Holy crud.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Now there may be other like nuclear fallout issues, but like,
Sure. Radiation, blah, blah, blah.
But, the Volcano doesn't care about that, I don't think.
No. Thank goodness. The thought that we might have thrown a bomb into like Mount Fuji and just like destroyed that whole landscape just to, I don't know what, be right? That would have been horrid. Gah.
Yep.
Yep.
And thankfully we did nothing horrid during World War II.
No. Yes. Completely absolved of all of our crimes. This time we watch Season 1, Episode 9, Project Moonbase.
But first, some shorts. 2 more episodes of Radar Men from the Moon. Are you ready for the exciting adventures of Commando Cody in his fight against Retic, the ruler of the Moon People? Well, you're getting some anyways. In Chapter 7, Camouflage Destruction, Commando Cody chases after some of Retic's henchmen on Earth. They're in a truck, transporting a powerful ray gun. Commando Cody has a rocket-powered jetpack backpack, but this time he's in a small plane, trailing after the henchmen. The henchmen shoot the plane with the ray gun, and it explodes. And so, Chapter 8, The Enemy Planet, shows Commando Cody's funeral. No, just kidding. Turns out he jumped out just in time, but the director forgot to show us. Silly director. Commando Cody goes back to the moon and tries to steal some of their lunarium, which is an element even more powerful than uranium. That's what's powering the ray guns, I guess. Anyway, this one ends with a lunar car chase. Cody's lunar car gets hit by a ray gun, of course, and his partner, well, surely he's gonna die this time, right? Tune into Chapter 9, Battle in the Stratosphere, to find out. But for now, that's the end.
This time we watch Season 1, Episode 10, Robot Holocaust.
But first, a short Radar Men from the Moon, Chapter 9, Battle in the Stratosphere. Gonna try to get some enthusiasm for this. Okay, last time we saw Commando Cody, he was in a lunar car chase, and his car was exploded by a deadly ray gun. Now see, in the last chapter, that meant certain death, but this time around, it just means the car gets a little shaken. Eventually, Cody manages to get back to his spaceship with the MacGuffin and one of the Martians as a prisoner, and then the film breaks, and we don't have to sit through the remaining 3.5 chapters of Commando.
There's one thing about this episode that absolutely would make it not in my top half, though, Chris, and that's the fact that there's a Commando Cody.
All right, but it doesn't have a full Commando Cody, does it?
Okay, that's totally true, and that alone might be like, all right, it's my top episode with a Commando Cody short, because we get so little of the short.
And like, what a great way to send off the Commando Cody series is by having the film rip apart in front of us and have some like hold music up, a little screen of Dr. Forrester and Dr. Earhart just going whoopsies, please be patient. I forget exactly what it says.
God. It's totally perfect because Dr. Earhart has the hand over his mouth and the like, oops type kind of motion. It's so perfect. I love it.
It's a great moment.
It totally is. It might have been my favorite moment of the entire episode. I mean, even though there's like a slightly muscular man walking around in a Conan bikini, I still prefer the hold space for the thing cutting. And it, of course, means that it gives us an explanation for why we will never get another Commando Cody after this, because the film broke. They can't possibly show anymore.
Back in the day when these were coming out, maybe not season 1, because I wasn't watching season 1 so regularly, but when they would do the other, Phantom Creeps and so forth in the later seasons, I always wanted them to get through an entire serial. And now that I've tried to follow them on the journey of getting through an entire serial, obviously that's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea for so many reasons.
And let me tell you how much of a terrible idea it is, because I watched the rest of the Commando Cody Radar Men from the Moon.
Oh, good. Now we can find out what happens.
I mean, it's a lot more fistfights and car chases and things blowing up. That's pretty much it. I mean, I did write a summary if you want to hear it, Chris.
Yeah, let's hear the summary. And then I never have to think of this IP again.
Oh, so good. All right, so here comes the exciting conclusion of Commando Cody. To finish the battle in the stratosphere, the rocket with Commando Cody and friends +1 starts leaving the moon. That +1 is a moon guy who they don't want to leave behind, so he starts fist fighting them on the rocket. He's overpowered and killed. Commando Cody ejects his dead body from the rocket and heads to Earth. Radic commands the moon people on Earth to shoot down Cody's rocket before it lands with the lunarium, and told, not to f it up this time, but, minions be minioning, so they totally f it up since Cody is distracting them. In the next episode, Mass Execution, the rocket lands and Cody survives, of course, and now the Earth has lunarium. All they need is a ray gun, and they're going to build one in Cody's laboratory. But they need to stave off the Moonman invasion. Remember that plot? Yeah, it's been a while, so they recap it, trying to remember the details that might give them the timing of the invasion. Remember Radic? He's going to send a bunch of rockets and ray guns to kill all the people on Earth because the moon has a thinning atmosphere and can't make food anymore. Radic told Cody all of this in a previous episode. Anyway, as they walk down memory lane, the Earth thugs hired by the Moonmen trap them in the room and pipe in bad air. Cody and his friends almost die. But they don't. In the next episode, Planned Pursuit, Cody and friends escape because a cop comes by and breaks open the door and takes them out of the bad air. Cody and friends steal the cop's car to pursue the thugs. There's a car chase. The cop tells his cop friends that his car's been stolen, so the conclusion of the very exciting car chase is the two thugs and Cody and friend are arrested and brought to the police station. Cody convinces the police that he's Cody, and they let the thugs go so Cody can follow them to the secret hideout. At the hideout, Cody hears that Radic's on Earth to take command and that the thugs are ordered to get some trucks for ray guns. Cody bursts in, starts fighting the thugs, even though he loses to them every time. Cody does manage to kill the Moon Man, but the thugs overpower him and he nearly dies. Radic has overheard the whole fight, and he tells the thugs to stick with the plan and get the trucks for the ray guns. And in the final episode, Death of the Moon Man, Cody revives, heads back to his laboratory to tell everyone what he knows, including about the ray gun the moon guys left behind in the cave. Cody gets a call from Al. Remember Al? Al tells him that the thugs are in his place, so Cody sends a contingent to go get the ray gun from the cave and the lunarium, and he and his friend rush over to Al's. A fist fight with the thugs ensues, and Cody never wins these, so they lose and have to chase the thugs out and get in a car, and they have a really exciting car chase. The driver thug gets shot by Cody, the two go over a cliff, the car explodes, the thugs are totally gone, but Radic still remains. So Cody and his friend head to the second secret cave where Radic is, and there's a gunfight, and they kill a moon man, but Radic gets in his rocket to return to the moon, so Cody and his friends race out to where the ray gun's waiting, and they blow up Radic's rocket with his ray gun. Crisis averted, the end. That's the conclusion of Commando Cody with Radar Men from the Moon.
At no point does the action escalate, huh?
No, it pretty much just remains. Every single episode has to have a fist fight with somebody, and Cody has to lose the fist fight or something. And there always has to be a car chase, and the shenanigans aren't even interesting.
Well, there you go. That is your Radar Men from the Moon companion, which I'm sure you were all very, very hungry for. We will have a regular episode soon. In the meantime, thank you, and take it away, Theme Squad. Oh, right. We don't do that on the bonus episodes. Well, we could end on a cliffhanger, or, we could just accept that the end of the episode has come. I hope you all have a lovely day. Take care of your wrists and other body parts. I didn't, and look where it's gotten me. Okay, bye-bye.